Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rachakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to all you Wakim out there, pushing his word with all truth and sincerity, and to all you believers out there who believe on the gospel. And it's the brother Kwara Abad from the GMS Houston camp. And I want to go into a lesson, man, speaking on, the little situation dealing with, you had this female, this woman, she commented on, I believe, the Apostle Gabal page, I forgot, I believe it was the Apostle Gabal, forgive me, if it was somebody else, but she commented on their page, I believe it was the Apostle Gabal, she commented on his page talking about how when we get in the kingdom, that we won't have heathen women, as concubines, that we won't ever be with heathen women, or something to that effect. This was a topic that, apostles, brothers touched on a couple of days ago. So Salakia, I'm responding all late, but I did, as I was, scrolling through videos earlier, the Elder Manatazak, he was going into it, which sparked my spirit. And right after that, I seen a brother, Azawaz, out in GMS Houston camp. He touched on the same topic, and hey, that sparked my spirit. So I want to, touch on it real quick. Like I said, elders, brothers been touching on it, proving like, hey, it's lawful to have heathen women. In the kingdom, we're going to have more than one, just like the heathen women. Hey, you had the likes of our forefathers, Joseph. He had heathen women, Ephraim and Manasseh. They mother, heathen. She wasn't no Israelite. Moses, his wife, Zipporah, right? She was a Midianite. You had Samson. Hey, Samson like them Philistines, man. Heathen women. The Lord never, got on them about being with heathen women, or even more than one woman. King Solomon, if you want to speak in that context, King Solomon. Jacob, our forefather, he had Rachel, Leah, and even they handmaids. Abraham, our father Abraham, he had Hagar, Sarah, even Keturah. You see, so look, it ain't a big deal for men, but the men of our nation, Israelite men, to deal with other nations' women or more than one woman. And we understand that. But what I want to touch on from this perspective is that, speaking of a king, because a man, we already know that, but let's speak even more so a king. Because in the kingdom, we gonna be kings, man. And she said, in the kingdom, we ain't gonna have no heathen women, none of that. Look, we gonna be in new bodies. The earth gonna be ours. The earth gonna be ours. We gonna do all things whatever our heart desire. And you telling me we gotta be as in this society and just be married to just one woman and never explore. Hey, that shit, that's the Lord's creation too. Never enjoy the Lord's creation. A king, man, we gonna be kings. We ain't gonna have no, of course, as far as our law go, but we ain't gonna have no limits, no boundaries, man. Forever. We ain't gonna die forever. But look, even before we even get into the kingdom, matter of fact, let's get this real quick. Before we even get to the kingdom, time's gonna be as it was before. A woman don't have no say-so or authority over who a man can deal with, especially a king, man. And matter of fact, let me get this Isaiah 4 real quick, just to show you it's going to be like that before the kingdom. But I want to get an example, too, dealing with Xerxes. Now, understand that Xerxes was a heathen king, but I'm just making a point of him being a king. Now, if he had this authority and power to do what we're going to read, how much more us as Israelites? And what he did, now what's wrong with that? It was lawful. Hey, even the Most High told King David, he said, look, matter of fact, let's get that first. 2 Samuel 12, right? It was the Most High told King David. The Most High said, look, I gave you everything. He even mentioned women. And watch what he say, 2 Samuel 12:8. I'm going to get the NLT version. It says, I gave you your master's house. He talking to King David, the Most High, right? He said, I gave you your master's house and his wives, S with an S on the end of that, multiple, plural of them, and his wives and the kingdoms of Israel and Judah. Check this out. If that had not been enough, I would have given you much more. Now, what was mentioned right here? Wives, multiple. And the Most High told King David, look, if you would have wanted more, all you had to do was ask. Now, if this was a wicked thing, why would the Most High himself mention it? And then back door and say, if you want more, ask for more. So how much more us and our perfection being kings? Right? Hey, you remember when Saul and King David and them came back from war, and the women, they was cheering. They was saying, hey, Saul killed his thousands, and David killed his tens of thousands, cheering them on. Now you telling me King David or Saul just couldn't walk up in that crowd and just grab one of them? You feel me? Obviously, the ones who wasn't already, with somebody, but they couldn't just grab them. They already cheering for them. Look at your NFL players today, the groupies, right? Your so-called stars today, they doing that. How much more the Lord gonna let us when we in our kingdom, though, man? I was gonna get that Isaiah 4, how it says in the time we coming in, 7 women go take hold of one man. Let's get that. Let's get that before we get that account in Esther with Xerxes. How he kicked this woman to the curb. And hey, Xerxes, he kicked this woman to the curb. And then he sent his servants across all his province to find him another one. Come on, man. But let's get this, because look, we coming in this time, Isaiah 4:1, it says, in that day, right, when all hell break loose, it says 7 women, which 7 just complete. It could be 1, 2, 3, 15, 7, right? But let's find out what these women gonna do, however many it is. It says, and in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. So even before we get into the kingdom, the Most High is going to force these women to be groomed and to want to come under a man. Look, when all hell break loose, because a woman going on that day, they can't protect themselves. It's going to be an all-out purge. They ain't going to protect themselves. They're going to be looking for protection. Like the scripture said in Isaiah 32, that a man shall be a hiding place for a woman. Ain't no woman gonna be a hiding place for a man, so they gonna come look for protection. And as the scripture says, when Esau coming like the flood, all hell breaking loose, he said, then shall be known who are my chosen. Because it will be a clear separation that day on who the Lord protecting and who he not protecting. And then women go look for the men who have power, who don't look famished, they ain't eat, like you ain't eating. No, they want the one who look like they just got off a meal. And that's why they gonna be willing to come up to the men of the Lord, kings in training, kings at the end of their captivity, right? So the Lord gonna force them to get into that mindset even before we get into the kingdom. They ain't look in that day. Look, it ain't saying that day 7 women shall take hold of one man. Said we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name. And you gotta stop talking to them other women. No, no, you ain't gonna complain about who with us. What nation she from. In that time, you looking for protection. How much more in the kingdom? And you gonna do that on this side when we in these little bodies still. Going through Jacob's trouble still, you're going to be in subjection in that day. How much more when we rule? Come on, man. But let's get an example of a king ruling. Now, his woman, Xerxes, she tried to get women's lib started. women's liberation. She tried to get women's lib started. Back here dealing with Xerxes, right? Now, watch what he do. He gonna kick her out and send all his servants to find him another woman. And he said, gather them all up, gather them sexy ones up. It said virgins, gather them all up. Let me take my pick. Man. You see? Again, think of, bro, brothers we know, think of in the kingdom, bro, who gonna tell? Hey, man. Let's get it. This is Esther 1. And I'll start at 1. It says, now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, or Xerxes, it says, this is Ahasuerus which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia. Right? So he ruled from India to Ethiopia. That's a lot of land. Now, let's read about the authority this heathen king had. Again, we going to have the earth. We going to have other planets. How much more authority will we have? But it says in 170 and 107 and 20 provinces. So they had it says over 107 and 20 provinces. So he had over 127, like America got 50 states. Well, look, he had over that. Over that. It says that in those days when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan the palace, in the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes, his servants, and the power of Persia and Media, the nobles and the princes of the provinces before him. And when he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty, many days, even 104 days. So they partying. He showing what he got, his status, his riches. Hey, everybody loving it. Showing how much power he have, right? And it says, and when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan the palace, both unto great and small, 7 days. And in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, blue hangings fastened with the cords of linen, of fine linen and purple, to silver rings and pillars of marble. So it's beautiful. It's going into the decor of it. And it says the beds were of gold and silver upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble. So he's stunting. Right? He's stunting. It says, and they gave them drink in gold vessels, the vessels being diverse one from another. You see? Come on, man. All different, custom made, exclusive. It says, and royal wine in abundance according to the state of the king. And the drinking was according to the law, and none did compel. For so the king had appointed to all the officers in his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure. Do what you not look. If this man come on, man, do what y'all want. But check this out. It says also Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. So you got Xerxes with his men, having this little get together, and you have his wife, Queen Vashti, with her sisters. With her friends, women, right? Doing their thing. It says, but the queen, Vashti, refused. Salaki, I jumped the gun. Let's go back up. It says, so Queen Vashti made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to King Ahasuerus. And on the 7th day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, so Xerxes feeling good, it says he commanded Mehuman, Bizda, Harbona, Bigda, Abagda, and Zethar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king, to bring Vashti the queen before the king with the crown royal. Why? To show the people and the princess her beauty, for she was fair to look upon. Just like Jake today, want to stunt with their woman. They want everybody to see their woman, Well, look, he wanted to show everybody his woman. Look, remember, he already showed them the gold, his riches, how beautiful his palace was. Ate the ice, the cherry on top. It showed the wife off. He wanted to show the wife off. Right? Let's see what happened. It says, but the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment by his chamberlains. So look, he sent the chamberlains, his right hand men, in front of her female friends, and said, hey, the king is summoned you. He summoned you. Come on. She said no. Stunned. You know how women wave. And she said no. And that's probably like, right? And it says, and therefore the king was very wroth, and his anger burned in him. Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew the law and judgment. And the next unto him, Karshena, Shethar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Marcina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Asia, which saw the king's face. It says, which set the first in the kingdom. So again, his right hand men, he went to for counsel. It says, what shall we do unto Queen Vashti according to the law? Because she had not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains. And Memucan answered before the king and the princes and said, Vashti the queen have not done wrong to the king only, but also to the princes. And the reason I'm getting all this is to show you, look, a woman ain't got no say-so over no type of man, especially in the ancient world mindset. Today we understand because it's curses, it's Esau kingdom. The woman is over the man, but we coming back to this ancient way of living. A woman ain't gonna have no say-so to what a man do. Whether the Israelite women or heathen women, whether there's 1 or 100. And the point we getting at is especially a king. And we getting this example to see how Queen Vashti, she popped off, got smart, and we about to see what Xerxes gonna do to her. And it's just the truth. So it says, this is what they said. Queen Vashti have not done wrong to the king only, but also to the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husband in their eyes. Why you think wickedness, when it's a law, the Most High he'll say, for example, if a man lie with mankind, put him to death. Why? He said to put evil away from Israel, so that could be an example. Now, right here, they saying, look, if we don't do nothing to Queen Vashti, all these other women go feel like, especially with her being a queen, and she did it to the king, all these other women gonna feel like, well, shit, well, Vashti ain't listen to Ahasuerus, I ain't gotta listen to you. The neck roll, right? That was gonna spread. And that's what you see today, women's lib. Queen Vashti, she was trying to start women's lib back then. And that's what you see today. That's why you see disrespect today with women and men. So it says, for this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women, so that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes, and it shall be reported. The king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti the queen to be brought before him, but she came not. And likewise shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes, we have heard of the deed of the queen, and thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath. Well, shit, we heard what the queen did. She ain't listen. We ain't got to listen to you either. Right? Now, how it's going to be, right, in our kingdom, a woman coming up to us and telling us, one, if she don't come when we call her, but they gonna be, our women gonna be righteous. I'm gonna say that too. Our women gonna be righteous. And it's a thing. They think, they think it's gonna be like America. You see? Like when I'm not with you, you got to text me. I am taking long to text back. It ain't going to be like that. It ain't going to be like that. You know? Come on, man. Come on. Hey, look. The Lord going to let us enjoy ourselves as real men. Real alpha males, man. Come on. Again, the Lord said we're going to enjoy his creation. That's one of his creations. It says, and so here you go. Let's wind it down a little bit too. I don't want to be this long. It says, and if it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus. Hey, look, and you can't just say, well, that's a heathen. What did King David do to what's King Saul's daughter name? Michal, right? Let me see. I think it's Michal, King Saul's daughter. Because it said, look, tell Queen Vashti don't come no more. Let me see what it is. King Saul's daughter. Yeah, Michal, right? Now, it was a law that Xerxes told, look, don't let Vashti come no more before me. Now, when King Saul's daughter, Michal, she got mad at David, he was dancing, doing this thing, and too much may have been revealed. And she felt played because other women seen King David. So when King David came to her, she tried to check him, talking about, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm speaking in our modern terminology. She was like, so you out there, wilding, showing the women your private slipping out and you doing all that dancing, right? And what King David told her, he said, look, man, let's get that. Let's get that real quick. Let's see if we can snag it real quick. I don't want to butcher, First, hold on, Salaki. Let me find it. I'm gonna just put Michal Dungeon or something like that. Bear with me. I don't know, specifically where it's at. All right, 2 Samuel 6. Yep. 2 Samuel 6, the Wadi Habashim Shai. All right, here we go. Let me just find a verse. I know it's towards the end of the chapter. My computer running slow, though. All right, here we go. All right, so, 2 Samuel 6 and 12 and 20. 2 Samuel 6 and 20 says, then David returned to bless his household. Look, he coming with the Ark of the Covenant. She ain't even realizing, what he did, what he doing. But again, the woman, right, in her feelings, it said, and David said unto Michal, it was before the Lord. So like in verse 20, then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel today. Look, and she being funny right here, right? She being funny. So she already hot, but she said, how glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants. And as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovered himself. Now, this is her coming to King David, like, again, a king, which we gonna be kings in the kingdom. Like, hey, what kingdom? The king's domicile, man. Right? But let me get that verse in another translation. They said a little plainer. I'm gonna get the NLT. Right? So it's a lot. So the 2 Samuel 6 and 20 NLT, it says, when David returned home to bless his own family, Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet him. And she said in disgust, right? She says, in disgust, how the king of Israel honored himself today, uncovering himself today before the eyes of his servants, female servants, as one of the vulgar fellows shamelessly uncovers himself. And David Right? And David said to Michal, it was before Yahweh who chose me rather than your father. Hey, King David, it says, rather than your father or any from his house, when he appointed me ruler over Yahweh's people, Israel, I will celebrate before the Lord, Yahweh. So he told her, look, I was doing that for the Most High. I wasn't worried about who seen me. You know, I was praising my power, who chose me to be king over your daddy. You got to pick, you know, he a Judah too, you know, over your daddy. Right? Talking about King Saul. It says, I'm going to get back in the KJV. It says, verse 22, and I will yet be more vile than dust, and will be base in my own sight, and of the maid servants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor. So while you coming at me like this, doing all this talking, I even make myself look worse for my power. But those ones you talking about, see me, you complaining about, in their eyes, shit. It says, what? Of them shall I be had in honor. And therefore, Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child until the day of her death, so she didn't have children. Now think about, now today, that's, you know, women like to brag about that. Oh, I'm 30 and I'm child, I ain't got no children, you know. But back then, if you was childish as a woman back then, that was a thing looked down upon, man. That was embarrassing. King David left her alone, put her to the side, left her alone after that. Why? Because the king got the authority to do that. That's the point we getting at. Why she ain't had no authority in that day? Let's go back to Vashti. Yeah, we didn't forget about you, Vashti. Let's go back to Vashti. Let's see if Vashti had authority and said, nope, I'm staying. Right? So this is Esther 1 and 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the law of the Persians and of the Medes, that it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus, and let the king give her, right, royal estate, and let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she. Now, if you do, and again, our women gonna be perfect in the kingdom. We understand that. They ain't gonna be out of line. I ain't gonna have to pull out precepts to say, see, I can, you know, we gonna be perfect, man. But this is, you know, for now, we teaching. You see, this ain't gonna have to be said in the kingdom, man. Right? But it says, so they put out the decree for everybody. They put out a decree. Now check this out. Let's go to chapter 2. And let's see what Xerxes did. Chapter 2, verse 1. And after these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus were appeased, he remembered Vashti and what she had done and what was the decree against her. Right? So he was like, man, you know what? I don't even need her. I don't need her. I don't need her. She out the king. The palace is over. Verse 2, it says, then the king's servants that ministered unto him said, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Haggai, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the women, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth, right? And let the maiden which pleases the king be queen instead of Vashti. And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. And you read it, he sent out his men throughout all his provinces. Go find me somebody. The point is, he could have had anybody. Now, if this man could have moved like that in his kingdom, how much more us when the Lord said this about us? Right? Straight to the point, this Psalms 2. Now, this is the Most High talking to Yahushua, right? Because this is what he gave Yahushua, Psalms 2 and 8. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen. Hey, shout out to that brother Azawaz. He pulled this, and I was like, that's a great point. Right? Because watch what the Heavenly Father about to give to us, man. Now, he gave it to his son in Psalms 2, but then Yahushua going to give us the same thing as we going to get. He says, ask of me, and I shall, let's give it context. Let's show us talking about Yahushua. Psalms 2 and 7, it says, I will declare the decree the Lord hath said unto me, Thou art my son, this day have I begotten thee. Ask of me, and I shall give thee the heathen for thine inheritance, and the uttermost part of the earth for thy possession. So he said he gonna give us the heathen for our inheritance. When it say heathen for our inheritance, that ain't just talking about men heathen. The men. It ain't just talking about men. Women go be in there too. Now we gonna have the men as slaves and women as slaves, according to Isaiah 14. But some of them women, what you think they gonna be used for? Right? To of course be concubines, help, just like Esau. Even Esau, he had his wife, but he had, his lust for the nigger women, had her in the house. House. We're gonna add concubine, bear us children. Again, remember our forefathers, the progenitors of our nation. Some of our the great men of the scriptures was born to heathen women. So if Yahushua got the heathen for his inheritance, he owned them, they for him. And when you own something, you can use it for whatever purpose. He gonna give us the same thing. And he about to say it out his mouth. Revelation 2 and 26. And he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end. So we endure unto the end. It says, to him will I give power over the nations, man. Again, that's authority over these nations. You see? And again, whatever we want to do with them, we going to do with them. Psalms 37 and 4. It says, delight thyself also in the Lord, and what? And he shall give thee the desires of thine heart, of our mind, whatever. Hey, whatever tickle our fancy in the kingdom, the Lord, it said before we ask, he going to give it to us. It's already going to be there. I ended off on Psalms 21. Psalms 21, let's end it off on that. It says, Psalms 21 and 1, the king, which we going to be, shall joy in thy strength, O Lord, and in thy salvation, how greatly shall he rejoice. Thou hast given him his heart's desire, and has not withholden the request of his lips. Selah. Think about that. Whatever we want, the Lord gonna give it. Whatever we ask for, he ain't gonna deny it. He gonna give it to us. And again, we gonna be perfect in that day. So everything we gonna ask for gonna be according to his will. Let's read that again. It says, thou hast given him his heart's desire and has not withholden the request of his lips. So if a brother want a heathen woman, as a king, this man go be able to get the heathen women. If this man want multiple, that king will be able to get multiple. And we got an example on what a heathen king was able to do. How much more an Israelite man? Come on, man. But look, with that, Lord willing, lesson was that if I will get all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bashim El Shah, Bashim Kakadashi. And with that, Shalom.